from the real world to the virtual world, but a virtual world where there are real consequences. Facebook boss Mark Zuckerberg has apologized to the European Union for a massive data leak. This, his latest attempt to try to draw a line under a scandal that has rocked the world's biggest social media network. Zuckerberg agreed to meet leaders of the European Parliament to answer questions about how political consultancy firm Cambridge Analytica improperly got hold of the personal data of 87 million Facebook users, including up to 2.7 here in the EU. Question, did they like what Zuckerberg had to say? Let's bring in Dave Keating. He's awaiting us in Brussels. Dave, I'll put that to you. Did they like what Zuckerberg had to tell them?
No, the short answer is absolutely not. There were three things that Zuckerberg had to convince members of the European Parliament of tonight: that they're taking action against the Cambridge Analytica scandal, they're tackling fake news, trying to influence elections, then that they're going to be compliant with new data privacy rules that are coming into effect in the EU on Friday, and finally, that Facebook is now not a monopoly that needs to be broken up or somehow state regulated in some way. Now, Mark Zuckerberg wasn't really able to deliver those answers because of the format of tonight's hearing. This was a real on-again, off-again story. First, ever since Mark Zuckerberg testified to the US Congress, European Union politicians were saying he needs to come here to Brussels as well because, after all, Facebook has more users in the European Union than in the United States. So finally, last week, Facebook said, okay, Zuckerberg will come talk to leaders of the European Parliament, but only in a closed-door session. Well, after a huge public outcry over the weekend, they did agree to stream the session online, but they had a format where all the MEPs had to ask their questions at the same time, and Zuckerberg gave one response at the end. And so he really didn't answer any of their questions, which resulted in a lot of bickering between the Parliament leaders. And in the end, we didn't really learn that much that we didn't already know from the US testimony.
It's a strange state of affairs when someone who is perceived to have done something wrong is dragged in to face questions like that, but seems to be calling all the shots, Dave.
Yeah, it was definitely, and that was certainly not unnoticed by the journalists and the politicians. There was a feeling here tonight that Zuckerberg didn't really display an adequate level of respect for the Parliament, especially by dodging the questions in the way that he did. I would say overall tonight's hearing didn't make anybody look very good. It certainly didn't look good for the European Parliament. It looked a bit amateurish, a bit unprofessional. It didn't look good for Facebook because Facebook looked like they weren't treating the Parliament with a great deal of respect. And it kind of left everybody more frustrated than they probably would have been if Facebook had just refused to do the hearing.
Dave Keating, thank you very much indeed. We'll keep across all developments, but it looks like the only development will be that Zuckerberg will run the show his way. Dave Keating there in Brussels. Thank you very much indeed, sir.